technical services engineer here at Coinbase Developer Platform. Just a background, CDP was created as a platform that enables developers to help any businesses transition on-chain. So we aim for our tools to continuously improve in efficiency and effectiveness, and that'll enable us to contribute more meaningfully to the success of those building with our products. And so to kick things off, um, just put a note in the chat if you're attempting to build your first agent with Agent Kit, if you've previously tried or if you've had an issue. I know Dr. Derivatives there. I spoke to you yesterday during our office hours. You mentioned something there, so feel free to drop those questions in the chat. As Ellie mentioned, we're going to be getting to them at the end of the combo. And if you have had an issue, please specify what it is, and we'll make sure to address those during the workshop. And so with that being said, I just want to quickly introduce our two presenters, Lincoln Muir, who's a PM working with Agent Kit, and John Peterson, a senior software engineer here leading the development of Agent Kit. And before I hand it off to both of you, I'm just going to talk about the topics that we're going to cover today, and the full process of how to set up an agent with Agent Kit and add new functionality. And so this will include getting CDP and OpenAI API keys, developing the agent on Replit, a walkthrough of our documentation structure, adding in new functionality, and lastly, we're going to go through that Q&A. And so some quick housekeeping notes here. We'll have a Q&A sessions towards the end of the presentation, so as not to interrupt the flow of the presentation. But again, throughout the discussion, we do encourage people to ask questions you may have posted on the chat here on the right-hand side, and we'll be monitoring them and taking note of them and making our best to answer them now or afterwards. I'm sure the team will be happy to async any answer that we can't get to during the presentation. So we just ask you please keep the questions relevant to the topic and be respectful to everyone as always. This session also will be recorded and will be available later for viewing on Coinbase's YouTube channel. And all right, that's enough for me, I think. So without further ado, let's get started. I'll hand it over to Lincoln and John, and you guys can take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Gustavo. Everyone, really appreciate you coming in here. Got a great crowd for today. Sure, all of you have questions about building agents and want to see how to do it yourself. So our goal here today is to make it as easy as possible for all of you to have agents by the end of this workshop. If you get lost or confused, don't worry. We'll make sure that we can do everything we can to get you set up and going properly. Okay, cool. Yeah, so appreciate you all coming. We'll be running through today on how to... You're still an echo? Hello? Okay, I think that fixed it. No, it didn't. Oh, yeah.
Muted.
Are you sharing audio, Gustavo?
No, I'm muting myself here.
But are you sharing audio from the screen sharing?
No. Let's see. Should not know. See.
Okay.
You hear an echo as well?
Yeah, if you go to the middle, if you go back to the share screen button and press that drop down option. Yeah, unclick share audio. Okay, sweet. All right, this should reduce the echo. Let's get rolling. Awesome. Yeah, thank you all for coming. Good to go now. So we're going to be running through how to build an AI agent. I'll quickly run over briefly what AgentKit is, give you some intro into it, and then we can get started with the building process. Next slide, please. Perfect. So the goal of the Coinbase Developer Platform, as Gustavo mentioned previously, is to bring 1 million developers on chain. We want to make it as simple as possible for anyone to start building AI agents and add in whatever on-chain functionality they want to whatever app they have, AI or otherwise. We're making it incredibly easy to use Python, TypeScript-based code, and have tools allowing you to use AI to generate code, interact on chain, do all sorts of things that allow you to ultimately use blockchain and use crypto as the payment rails and the data transfer rails that give you all sorts of benefit over traditional existing systems. Next slide, please. We offer all sorts of different products from various different wallets, front end, back end, SDKs, APIs. One of my favorite new features is the new on-ramp we have. You can on-ramp using Apple Pay without having to go through any KYC up to $500. So it's never been easier to bring money into crypto. We have webhooks to pull data and allow it to trigger different on-chain activities. And we have a paymaster for doing gas sponsorship on your users' wallets. Next slide. Agent Kit specifically is our foray into the world of building AI agents. At Base and Coinbase, we're leading the charge and wanting to solidify ourselves as one of the primary companies working in the AI crypto space. We allow agents to have access to the Coinbase Developer Platform SDK, get all sorts of various different functionality, including transferring, swapping, creating a base name, doing all of this by just typing in natural language into a chatbot or allowing the agent to go off and do whatever it wants entirely on its own, fully autonomously. So there's a ton of various applications and benefits we can get to. If you have any questions about that, I'll take them at the end, but in the interest of time, we'll get straight into the coding. Next slide, please. Yeah, and here are some of the things that we're thinking about as we start to build out these AI agents, fully autonomous agents, DeFi trading, and then as well as just bringing the average person into crypto. They don't have to ever deal with signing up a wallet. They can just on-ramp US dollar into their agent, allow their agent to handle the rest for them. And with that, I will hand it over to John to start talking a little bit more about how to get started actually building this agent.
Awesome. Thanks, Lincoln. Can we flip to the next slide, please? Cool. Yeah, so the first start when you start working with any new product, including Agent Kit, will be to take a look at the developer docs. Lincoln, let's please link these as well in the chat. So, yep, there we go. Everyone, feel free to open that link, take a look. You can look at this after the Discord. For the interest of time, I think we're going to go straight to the Replit and get going. But these docs will provide you more details on what you can do with your MPC wallets, how to add new features to your Agent Kit powered agent, and any support links that you may need. Next slide, please. Cool. Awesome. So this is our first step to actually get building. We need everyone to have generated a CDP API key and have that saved locally. We'll give everyone a few minutes to do that. Maybe just give some thumbs up in the chat once you have an API key ready to go. And while everyone's getting started on that, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat and we will answer them accordingly. Looks like a lot of people came well prepared, already have their API key. That's awesome. So why don't we go ahead and skip to the next slide. So next step is we're not going to use OpenAI's API keys today. We're going to use an XAI model because it has a free tier, so you don't have to fund the account at all to get started. That'll be a little bit less frictionful onboarding. So next step, we'll generate this XAI API key and get us access to their LLM API. Lincoln, can we please post the link in the chat as well? And again, we'll pause. Please give some thumbs up once you have the XAI API key available.
Yes, I'm grabbing it now. I had the link to the, and yes, if you have an OpenAI key, it'll be a slightly different flow, but I'll be messaging you within the specific instructions to make it work for you. And yeah, seeing some questions about what models we support. Both the Python and the TypeScript versions support whatever model you want. For the Python Replit template, we have OpenAI built in there by default. And for the TypeScript one, we're using XAI by default. The reason for the difference is because XAI gives you a free $25 in credits, which makes it very easy to get started. But if you already have an OpenAI API key, it'll be a very similar flow to what we're doing here. And I'll share the links separately for both like the XAI flow and the OpenAI flow in the chat.
In general, AgentKit is fully model agnostic. Any LLM that you can bring in to LangChain to set up an agent, we support as well. So things like Claude, any open source Llama model are also included with slight code modifications, and you can find the documentation for that by going to the LangChain docs and looking up the various chat models that are provided. Awesome. Looks like the first couple of people have started getting their API keys set up for the LLM APIs. LinkedIn has just dropped the replets into the chat, both for the XAI quick start, as well as one that uses OpenAI. If you already have the OpenAI key set up and funded, feel free to use either of those. So as people continue to get their API keys set up, you can go ahead and open up that Replit link and start importing your API keys in the Replit secrets. Why don't we go on to the next slide? And we can see here, you can see on the right side, an example of setting up the Replit secrets for the OpenAI example. The XAI will follow similarly, but the Replit secret will be titled XAI API key. You can get to that by going into the file system on the left side and opening up the secrets panel. Yes, so the Replit's default, or AgentKit itself defaults to using base-Sepolia, the base Sepolia test network. If you want to change or configure a different network, we support all of the networks that the CDP and PC Wallet product supports, namely base Sepolia, base mainnet, Ethereum, Helesti, Ethereum mainnet, Polygon, and Arbitrum mainnets as well. And we're looking to expand to further network support in the near future. So it looks like people are getting started. Once you run, you can run the agent in either chat or autonomous mode. Autonomous mode will have the agent take a new on-chain action every few seconds based on its own internal prompting. Chat mode will allow you to interact with it in a ChatGPT style prompt in the terminal. Feel free to ask it to do things like deploy NFTs, deploy ERC20s, deploy bonding curve tokens with the Zora WoW launcher. You can transfer You can get some faucet funds if you need from the testnet faucet. Notably, I think there was one question in the chat about trade support. Trades are only supported on mainnet right now. We are working on getting trades supported on Base Sepolia in the near future as well. That is on our roadmap. And now I think it's build time. Feel free to play around with the template. We'll be available to answer any of the questions in the chat and help debug as quickly as possible. Lincoln, do you want to hand off and let's get out of the slides and maybe share a working video of the replit as well, and so we can show everyone what it looks like to work in chat mode?
Yeah, totally. Fingers crossed that this works. Hopefully how's the stream looking? Can we see the replit pulled up? And I'm going to click the big green run button right at the top. And what this will do is it will show us the screen. It'll give us the console where the agent will start to run. It's going to say starting agent, and we'll have two modes. We have the chat mode, which is sort of like a chat bot that you can talk to and interact with and make it do various different things. And then the autonomous mode, which some of you are finding in the chat, is super, super interesting and can do all sorts of fun stuff without you ever having to interact with it. So I'm going to go into the chat mode to start. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask this agent to give me its balance. So I'm just going to say, what is your balance and wallet address? Give me the wallet address, and we can check this on Base Sepolia scan on any sort of like blockchain viewer explorer website. Now we can see here we have 0.00980. That's a good amount, but I'm just going to tell it to faucet itself so we can get some more to play with. Yeah, so if you're running into issues around your wallet not having any funds to do things with, since we're on testnet, we're going to ask the agent to fund itself, and it will. Sometimes if it's running in autonomous mode, we'll be able to have the agent fund itself when it recognizes that they're out of funds. It just depends on like what the agent is doing and how it's thinking about things. Great, so we got funds from the faucet. Yeah, so if you're asking if it's buffering, some people it's not working for other people. So just sort of talking through it so that everyone can sort of understand what's going on. This will be recorded. All of these two are also like videos that are surfaced in our documentation. So if you want to see what I'm doing, you can go to docs.cdp.coinbase.com. I'll throw a link in the chat, and you can see the videos that we have, particularly under the Add Agent Capabilities page and the Quick Start page. So yeah, agent can do anything you want here. I'm going to tell it to go ahead and transfer 0.001 ETH to my base name, lincoln.base.eth. And it will go ahead and do that for us. So this is just a tidbit of what this agent can do and how it can go about doing things. What my favorite part of the agents is that it's incredibly easy to add in whatever new features that you could want. I'll share the docs on how you can do this right now. Basically, there is prompts that we wrote that you can give to ChatGPT or other LLMs of your choice and tell it to write you a specific function. And it will give you all the code that you need that you can add to your replit template to add in whatever new features you want. So, for example, within the CDP docs, we have this tab called Add Agent Capabilities, and I'll show you how to add the ability to sign a message. All this code I'm going to be using is Python, but if you're on the TypeScript version, you're just going to want to click on the TypeScript part. So what I will do is I will copy the sign message prompt all the way down through the class that defines exactly what the agent will be receiving as input. And also this function here, which is exactly what the agent will be running when we tell it to sign a message. So I'm going to copy all of this, and I will paste it into our agent instance over here. Just right at the top. Great. Next, I will add in this specific tool right here, which basically takes all the different parts that we added, compiles them together in a way that an agent can see, and then I can use that and add that in as well, so that the agent can start to use this function. So I'll come down to CDP toolkit here, and I'll add a tool right underneath it for signing a message and adding it to the agent. Now, if I stop this and run it again, everything should work as intended. If not, we can go through the debugging process. Looks like it's working. Now I can tell the agent to do something like sign the message, hello, CDP Discord. And it signed it for us. So you could post this on chain. You could use this to log into apps. There's all sorts of various different things related to how you can start to interact with your agents and add in new features. I saw a question around a little bit of lagging. That happens if you're on the Replit basic subscription. For anyone who decides to build out an app with us or wants to build Agent Kit more, you can reach out and we can get you a premium Replit account. What this will give you is much faster times like I have on mine, as well as the ability to get any sort of AI agent to start building out these functions for you directly within Replit. It comes with a lot of benefits, and we're happy to support anyone who's building in our ecosystem with these. With that, happy to take any more or questions here. John, anything else you'd like to add as we start to get people building?
No, this all sounds great. I'm just going through and responding to some of the chat messages. Please continue to add any questions that you have there, and we'll answer them as soon as we can. One thing to note about adding the additional agent functionalities, there has previously been a little bit of confusion about the instructions that Lincoln linked versus adding them directly to the GitHub monorepo in the Agent Kit core package. There's a place and time for both. If you want to make an open source contribution, which we welcome from the community, to add, say, a new protocol so everyone can use that action, for example, then you would follow the instructions and add it directly into the Agent Kit core package and open a pull request against our repo. But if you want to build an action that is specific to your agent or specific to your project, then it's much faster to follow the link docs that the Lincoln put in the chat.
All right, so just answering some questions that I'm seeing in the chat. How do we know if auto mode is hung or not? So there is no heartbeat. That could be very straightforward to add. Right now it's set up on a 10-second interval. You can change that within the function called run autonomous mode. One of the parameters there is that interval set to 10 by default. You could add in some sort of looping console log feature as well. Yeah, sorry about the Replit Pro. Whenever that subscription runs out, we're happy to give you a month on that. I sent the email, put it somewhere in one of these chats. It's kevin.leffew@coinbase.com. He can handle getting this subscription set up for you all. Yeah, if you want to file a bug against AgeKit, that'd be awesome. Is that on the TypeScript version or the Python one, Ash? Because there is some issues with LangChain on TypeScript. Yeah, yeah. So the TypeScript one, the LangChain integration is occasionally hangs. We're looking into two fixes, but that's a known issue. Thank you for servicing that. Okay, perfect. Thanks for adding the error code in there. That's helpful. So good question on Replit versus just using Cursor with Google Cloud. My preferred method is to use Replit to set up the project because that way I don't have to deal with the environment at all when it handles all of it for me with the very simple run button, and then use Replit to interact directly with, or use Cursor to interact directly with that Replit instance. There's a link in our documentation under our Use AI Tooling tab, which I will share in the chat. That shares a little bit more about how you can do this and set it all up properly. And good question, Callie, on how to build an AI agent just not using Replit and running it autonomously. There's a few different ways to do that. One would be putting it in some sort of hosting service. We can surface some more documentation or guides on that, but generally you can look into Google Cloud, AWS, any hosting service where you can put in a Node.js or a Python project. If those instructions aren't clear enough, just please DM me or provide me any more insight into like the help that you need, and I'll be happy to get that for you. A good question, Airbender, on how exactly to build out personalized agents. So the typical AI developer paradigm is that you have one agent, and then it stores a unique cat history and a unique wallet for each user. It's a little bit more efficient to do. You could also initialize one agent per user.
Well, sounds like everyone has quite a few questions. We're getting to those as quickly as possible. I actually have a question for the room, if everyone can respond in the chat. If, say over the next 1 to 3 months, what would be the most impactful or interesting agentic actions that we could add to AgentKit, and how would you intend to use them in your day-to-day flows or projects that you're working on?
Orpheus is coming. Don't worry about that. Talking to the Venice team. Yeah, about some exciting stuff there. It is fully model agnostic, so you should be able to add that in pretty quickly and immediately. These other ones are incredibly helpful. Agent finding a virtual card. Interesting. Yeah, one of the things that we have is the on-ramp. Adding that directly into AgentKit, I think, is something that would be really cool. Improve context and memory. Yes, agreed. We're looking in as well to how to create more AI-specific integrations and make this more aligned with the existing AI development paradigm. So that's certainly something.
Lincoln, one call out on the context and memory. Those are actually things that can be changed on the LangChain integration side, and so we can plug into any LangChain based agent right now. And so the current context and memory paradigm that we have, the in-memory buffer, is just to make the Replit quick start as dead simple as possible. But you can swap that out for memory that's stored in, say, a database and in-memory store that's on a separate process. There's a lot of different options, and I'd implore you to explore the LangChain documentations surrounding memory savers for more details there.
Yes, great call out. Thank you. Yeah, on the DoorDash question, they did not do the actual implementation of the payment to DoorDash. All it was missing was that like virtual credit card piece. So I think that's a really insightful point there. As far as I'm aware, there are actually some like crypto card providers. So yeah, that should be something that's like fairly easy to integrate. So I'm gonna actually look into that after this call and see what that would do. Can we do it on VS Code? Absolutely, yes. So we have you can do it in Replit, and that's where we recommend if like it's the most straightforward thing. But you can also do it on VS Code, Cursor, whatever you could possibly want. All sorts of different ways that you can interact with this. Our GitHub, all of that is linked in our documentation, which I will share again with the chat. Designing a payload on social media integrations. Great call out. It can do that today. It's not supported by default, but it can be very, very simple. Given how easy it is to add in new features, so that you could have it sign every post before it writes it and then publish that on chain, but you can ensure that it's coming from the agent. Are NPC wallets transferable? At the moment, there is a wallet file that exists, and that plus your API keys could allow you to give this to another agent. We're actively exploring other wallet paradigms, and particularly understanding how we can, one, make sure an agent is the sole owner of its wallet, and two, provide much more flexibility and composability for all the different use cases you could want with your wallets. How to fine tune the agent to call the right tools? Good question. So there's a couple different ways to think about this. One is that the agent comes with a system prompt. This generally provides it with all the information that gives it context on what exactly it's doing. You could use some prompt engineering to make this more specific and call out different functions and when to call them. Since each function also has like a prompt associated with it, if you can edit that prompt to make it more optimized. That's something we're also looking into as well, is how to make this more efficient, more accurate, not hallucinate as much, all that kind of good stuff. Question about security considerations, different setups, layer risk. Yeah, like Replit is certainly not meant for a production-ready environment. It's much more so for testing and getting people started early. If you're going to be running this for like a real-world use case, would highly recommend making sure that you have proper precautions in place to ensure that you can't lose access to your wallet or that your wallet isn't visible publicly. Hosting this on some sort of server or whatever would be certainly the most helpful way to go about that. Can you push code from GitHub from Replit? I'm not sure. I would imagine yes. What is the required value for network ID? There's a few of them. The link to wallet management that's in our agent kit docs with you. That has a couple of them. It's like base Sepolia or Ethereum mainnet, those types of things. Can you use AA to restrict the agent from doing anything dumb? Great question. We're working on doing that right now. If you wanted to, you could put in some constraints at the program level, such that if the agent tries to do a certain transaction over a certain amount of money, it would revert or it would ask you for help. We're working on seeing how we can do this at the actual key signing level. Yeah, as John said, agent policy engines are coming soon. Awesome. Thanks, Digital Koi. Farcaster accounts for each agent or one terminal for multiple agents. Good question. Not as familiar with the Farcaster architecture. I would imagine that one account per agent would be better, but I'm not entirely familiar with the terminal stuff is. Okay, buried question, Ermin Trout. Let's see here. Recognize token balances. Recognize balance in a wallet. So this is something we're looking into as well. We recently got another similar bug report to this. It should be able to find the balance if you give the contract address. Sometimes it takes a bit of time to like index by our blockchain indexer. So if you're like deploying a token or like trying to call the balance on a token that's been very recently deployed, it may not work, or if it's newly in the wallet, it may take a second. But yeah, generally that's something that we're working on improving. Would this work with the CDP wallet management framework? Yeah, so each agent has a wallet through the wallet management framework, and you could set up some sort of like agent communication system using XMTP or using like smart contracts to manage each agent. Um, actually, tokens. Weird. Okay, if you could DM me with some more info on that, or actually, could you throw it in the agent kit channel, and we'll take a look at that. I'm responding to that right now. Thank you. Great. And while I have you here, any other sort of, we got a ton of good feedback on what we want to see next. How, what's your all's general like level of experience with these types of coding things? Like what kind of AI tooling, like how can we make this as simple as possible for you? Is there anything in particular that you'd like to see from this? Any other guides, anything in particular that could make it easier to go through the process of building? Awesome stuff. Yeah, if you could share those notes around the on-chain functionality extensions in the agent kit channel, that'd be awesome. Um, Videos and examples. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I very much want to make it as easy as possible for everyone to use this. Hanging. Yeah, good. Yeah, great call out. Videos, do that. Okay, great. Solidity dev. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so one of the things that might be interesting to use that we're looking into contract deployments. So eventually allow these agents to deploy their own contracts. You could write them, or the agent could write them, or whatever. Um, there's a lot of pretty interesting use cases around that. Why Python is better for LangChain, even though we all love TypeScript and Web3? Great question. The main reason is that a lot of the existing Python tooling is built or a lot of the existing AI tooling is built in Python. So the ecosystem is much more fleshed out, and everything is built natively in Python and then sort of ported over to TypeScript. As a result, there's not as much support from like third-party extensions. So for example, things like internet search may not be available in TypeScript. They are in Python. You can still add them in yourself, but they're not just as easy to get to.
One other call out there specifically related to some of the hanging issues within the agent event loops is we actually AgentKit is directly partnered with LangChain, and so we're working with their team to get the Node.js LangChain version to work at similar capacity that the Python one is. If you're concerned about performance, I would recommend picking Python for now, just because of the close integration with the AI that Python has.
Yeah, DAO stuff would be cool. Something else that I'm trying to do is make this as easy as possible for anyone who doesn't have Web3 experience to start using. So beyond just having token transfers and swaps and deploy, also just have like pay or other very straightforward ways that people can start to use this without having to know exactly what's going on. How do you integrate it and make it interact with apps like Instagram? So in our docs, we have a guide called Add Agent Functionality or Add Agent Capabilities. I'll share that now. If you have access to an Instagram API, you can write a function and start getting your agent to use it.
Awesome questions here. Just quick time check. We're about 8 minutes away. So just wanted to mention that for everyone who may have any other pressing questions, don't hold out to the end.
Need a replit. When you say write a function, do you mean have the agent write it? Effectively, yes. So you have to add in some code manually. You can have an AI agent or just like an AI do a lot of it for you. So in that doc I sent immediately above your message around adding agent capabilities, that'll walk you through it. There's a video there. All should be very straightforward. If it's not, post in the Agent Kit channel and we'll be able to help you out. Yeah, agents make videos. They can if you integrate the ability to make videos. AI trading agent. So we have a doc in our guide that's a little bit outdated now around building a Telegram bot. It doesn't have an explicit agent use case. Yeah, thanks for coming, Steph. But it should give you a general idea about how to do it, but it's certainly not a comprehensive guide, so that's something that we can work on as well. Does it support staking, withdrawing, claiming liquidity pools? Not at the moment. Once again, that's a feature that could add in. My favorite thing about AsiaKit is even if there's stuff that isn't there by default, anyone can start to add in features in a really seamless way. And if you're interested and you can make a PR on our GitHub repo, you can share that code with us and we can surface it to everyone as like an official thing in the agent kit. So I'd love to see this sort of be built up by the community and start to get a lot of love from everyone and yeah, get whatever features in that we want. One thing that I'm thinking about too, that would be helpful, I'm sure, for a lot of you is building out like buttons that you can click that allow you to very easily like create the code in some sort of wizard. I'm sharing it in the chat now. So basically you could have different models here, you can click different buttons, get all that stuff. Any questions that you have around things that you'd like to see, how that would work, let me know. We're working on that. It's still very much in progress, but should be pretty helpful for building things out. Cursor rules to assist with development. Absolutely, that's something we're working on right now. Telegram agent out of the box, great. Yeah, GitHub edit page on docs pages. This is super helpful feedback. I'll share this with our docs team for sure. And yeah, feel free to please fill out that form about the workshop feedback. What do you want to see from us? How can we make these more useful for you? All of that is incredibly important. The team handling everything, Gustavo, Ellie are doing a fantastic job, and they're very much involved with making this as great of an experience for you all as possible and building out this into a community. So whatever workshop you'd like to see, we can make that happen. Just let us know. Put it in that form.
Awesome. I think we are getting close to time here. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming. Hopefully you were able to learn about AI agents, about Agent Kit, and start making some of your first calls with your own agents. Feel free to continue any of these discussions in the relevant Discord channels, namely the Agent Kit channel. If you have a question more specifically about the underlying MPC wallet or CDP SDK, there's separate channels for those as well. Please don't hesitate to at me or Lincoln or both of us in any of those messages, and we'll respond very quickly. They're actively managed channels.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks. Almost at time here. We'll let anybody ask any last minute questions. But as John just mentioned, yeah, we do have an Agent Kit channel there. Please feel free to ping either of them, myself as well. I'm a moderator here as well. I'll make sure that any messages get routed to the right person. And Ellie shared also a feedback on the workshops here. Those are really valuable. That's where you can include what you'd like to see in the future, what we can do better next time, what you'd like to see. We're definitely we definitely take that feedback seriously. So also thanks for everybody for joining, taking time to be with us here. We know that the entire team is really anxious and happy to hear any of the feedback, good and bad. So don't hold back. We just want to make these products work the best for you. Some folks typing there. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. If you need anything, please reach out in Discord or DM me on Twitter, whatever. Happy to make sure that everyone gets access to an agent, that those agents have AI wallets through CDP. So really appreciate you all coming. This was awesome. Until next time, thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Lincoln. Thank you, John. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, everyone, for showing up, participating, and catch us on the other side. Thank you all.